Hello everybody, welcome to Simplified in 5. Today we are going to talk about static initialization in C++. So let's first see what is the meaning of static initialization. Basically this term is used for all the events to describe all the events happening before program's main function begins execution. It includes initialization of non-local static and global variables. Let's see what are the pros or advantages of the static initialization. So it's very powerful and you can use it to enable the construction of C++ objects to set them to known state before main function begins. It can be used to simplify the startup logic of your program, but it has some disadvantages like code readability is compromised and your program can be slow at start if you're doing many complex things. Now let's see the problem, another problem which is known as static initialization order fiasco. So this problem revolves around the fact that order of initialization of non-local static objects defined in different translation units is not well defined. So what this means is if there are two static variables x and y defined in two different CPP files, then the order of initialization of x and y is not defined. So x shouldn't be depending on y and y shouldn't be depending on x. So if any of them does, then it's called as the static initialization order fiasco. Let's see example. So here you can see in x.cpp we create an object of x, then in y.cpp we create a global object of y, and let's say in the constructor of y we are using x object. Then this could be a problem because it's not guaranteed that x object would be initialized before y object. So if this constructor gets called and x object is not initialized, then we are in trouble. Now let's see the solution for this static initialization order fiasco. So here you can use the solution is construct on first use, and the basic idea here is to wrap the static variables inside functions and initialize static variables within that function. So in the static function you can construct the object and return it by reference. So clients of the object would call this function instead of directly calling the global object. Here let's see the example solution. So here you can see, as earlier, instead of directly creating the object, we would have a global static function. So here in this function we would be creating the static object with new, and you would be returning the reference of the newly constructed object through that function. So you can use this function directly without actually calling the object. So with this new, there is a problem that you may end up leaking this object, but there is a workaround and we will be discussing that differently. So you can use nifty counter idiom to avoid this leak. So here you can create a counter to count the newly created objects and then destruct them at the end. So, and the other things are like in y.cpp you would be creating y object in, but then in the y constructor you can, instead of directly calling the object, you call the function xobj and then do whatever, and then call whatever method you want to call, so that in this constructor in constructing function this x object is initialized. So you won't be facing any problem. So this is the solution for static initialization order fiasco. So we saw what is static initialization, we saw what are the pros, we saw what are the cons, we saw what is static initialization order fiasco, and then we saw construct on first use idiom. So these are the 5 key things to know about static initialization in C++. So thanks for watching and hope this helps.